Just thought I'd provide an update. Look at that fitment. Be Quiet definitely did their homework. If you're wondering, that bracket is not sitting on, but is nearly sitting on that heatsink. Very, very nearly sitting on the heatsink. So ASRock might want to rethink that a little bit. As far as I can tell, we are tight though, and it's not touching. If I was ASRock though, I might, I know I did that to fill in that extra space to cover these. There's some caps down there, see? They did that to cover it. But Be Quiet did a very good job here with the cooler. Look at that. Because it's offset left the width of the fan, it perfectly clears the RAM. So I'll now be able to go and get the RAM and pop it right back in there. And we got plenty of space on this back side, right here between this heatsink here and here, to put in our fan. So ASRock did a decent job of stepping that. I just think this one down here, I don't know what the exact keep out zone is. I forget for, I know Intel has one. I assume AMD has one. The other thing I think here is technically these aren't exactly aligned on the AMD mounts. They're not like exactly spaced. I think one's closer than the other or something like that. So I think there might be a little bit of an angle on that as well. But it doesn't matter for this middle one really. Because remember, you're mounting here, not up and down. So I really like that fitment. I'll give you a little preview. Here's some fan extensions. You're wondering, why are they up here? Well, I had to glue the, there you go. You can see the glue there. They didn't use adhesive heat shrink, and the heat shrink is maybe a slight size too big, so it shrinks down to the size of the sleeving on here, but not past it, so it doesn't grip it tightly. If they used either adhesive heat shrink or at least one size smaller, ideally both, it would shrink down past the width of this and squish it, and then if there's adhesive in there, it would glue it as well. Basically, there's hot glue on the inside of the heat shrink, so when you melt the heat shrink, it'll also glue it to the. A lot of that's also considered waterproof heat shrink. So I kind of had to do that myself because the extensions were good. I ordered another set after the seller said they had fixed it on Amazon, and they hadn't. So as much as I like the rest of the quality, when the sleeving just pulls out of your heat shrink, that's not a good product. But the reason why I need one of those is because the stock fan on the heatsink has a little rinky-dinky extension or cable there. So this is how it's gonna look. Right there like that. And see, that's where we would be resting on here. You don't want to do that. You're going to get vibrations from this going brrrr. Same thing here. I raised it up just a little bit so it's not sitting on the mount. Oh, vomited. I'm sure you guys did. Let's give you a look. Can I give you a look through the fan here? Bam. No, there's not a big enough gap. You can see there though, I made sure there's enough gap here by matching that up almost perfectly up there, so that this fan is hanging on these wires off the heatsink, not resting on this hard mount in the bottom. Same thing is going to have to happen here because we're going to rest on that heatsink. Like I said, there's just enough room for it there, but you don't want, it's great for demonstration here, but realistically you want to just lift this up just a hair so it's not resting on the actual heatsink, so then you don't get brrrr noises. Because what it's going to do is it's going to resonate through the heatsink, which is hard mounted to the motherboard. The motherboard is hard mounted to the case. Then you're just going to get brrrr, 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 and it's going to amplify the noise. That's what happens when you have pumps, like a pump block. I know EK is trying to bring that back. It's a bad idea in my opinion because the CPU block, that's where a lot of noise comes from AIOs as well. When that pump gets a little bit noisier or when there is air in there, that pump is hard mounted to the CPU block, which is hard, that's hard mounted to the CPU. So any additional noise you have is transmitted right into the motherboard, And like if you have a back plate on there, it's hard mounted to the case, which most cases it is. That noise actually gets amplified. I think I have an older water cooling video where I take a pump and I hold it up. It's loud, right? Because I think it's failing or something. Then we touch it to the counter, and the counter actually amplifies the noise. So that's why you want to suspend these. That's why they're suspended by these wires, and they have rubber mounts. See right there on the front and back of the fan. Which is good. If you're wondering, here, this is something that Be Quiet did, which is very smart. On the back side of this heatsink, they actually scooped this in more there, right? And then there's a little bit of a cutout here, but on the other side, it's flat on the front side. So you're pushing and then you're pulling. What Noctua does for the pull fan to resolve that is they actually put thicker rubber gasket or rubber mounts on the back to space the fan out a little bit. In this case, it's probably not needed for the Be Quiet because, like I said, they basically cut out some of the heatsink here to do that. Now, the issue with that is you just lost thermal mass there. So, give or take, you know. I think they're trying to fit a certain kind of package there with this one. So far, this new mount from Be Quiet, super duper nice. It's very similar to the Noctua mount. The only thing different is the brace that goes across the mount. Is not pre-mounted to the cooler. You kind of set it on top and then screw it in. So, otherwise, very simple. There's just you basically screw down the bracket to the back plate that's already on there for AMD. Then you screw down that bracket to the motherboard. Then you put this brace across the heatsink, and then you screw that into the two brackets, and you're done. Very similar to Noctua. Not as good, I would say, because Noctua has the brace, which is actually, in here it's a milled aluminum, or probably not milled, extruded aluminum, which is not really all that flexible. Noctua often uses like a steel or a spring steel. Noctua also usually has springs in the screws to make sure mount pressure is correct. Here, I think they're just going with distance. Not that this is also a lower end cooler. This is like one of Be Quiet's lowest end coolers, but it is their only RGB one. So if you guys know any like good name brands, like I don't want to have to swap the fans out on it. That's the whole point of buying pre-RGBified stuff. That's why I went with Be Quiet this time. If you know tower coolers that are good, not weird Chinese brands, not Thermaltake, put it down below in the comments. I would appreciate that, just because I need some more options for the few times that I do actually end up building RGB systems. Yeah. Okay, subscribe for more on Einhander V2, and we'll see you in the next one. Peace.